Board of Public Works meeting of Monday, June 1st to order. Number 2, approval of minutes of May 18th. The Board of Public Works meeting minutes. Motion by Mr. Fire. Motion, second by Mr. Rosendich. Any questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Fire?
Yes.
Bargender?
Yes.
Drew blank there.
Yes.
Fisher?
Yes.
And Rosendich?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Citizens' comments. Any citizens' comments? I see none. So we'll go to number 4, construction update. We'll start off with Chris Hawley, Street Superintendent. Chris.
Good evening, everybody. It's good to see some faces. It's been a while since we've seen you in person, so I thought I'd come tonight and give my report. As of late last week, I sent you out a memorandum on a report, and anything you see in there in red is a good thing. We got a really good start to the year, and I just want to highlight a few things. Northern Hills subdivision was a leftover 2019 project. That is nearly complete. There's about an hour left of ditching and tiling there. And the shaping crew from American Asphalt will be in on Wednesday, June 3rd. And after that, then we'll raise the manholes and water valves and so forth and get that ready for paving. We don't know what that schedule is like for paving, but we'll get the binder down and then we'll black dirt the ditches. And then after that, we'll finish bindering or finish the top on that. So that one's moving right along, just about done. Just waiting for America to come in and shape it up and get the binder down. We'll move right along to some of the leftover projects from last year. Edison was a leftover project that needed topsoiling, and that got completed today. And they moved over to 28th between Washington and Butternut and got about a third of that done today. So they got a good start on that today. The rain held off. Now, the good news is one of our asphalt overlay projects from last year, the concrete work is finished out there. We're waiting for American Asphalt right now. They're scheduled to come in on Thursday, June 4th to pave that. I just right before this meeting started, it may be moved to Wednesday due to the scheduling for American Asphalt, but I haven't heard a definitive on that yet. Peach, 14th to 17th is closed down. It got closed down today. Just to give everybody an update on that, I talked with Ashley from the Central Wisconsin State Fair, and that's actually working out for them very well because, as you know, tomorrow between 11 and 7, they're going to be doing some testing for COVID at the fairgrounds. They'll be utilizing 14th Street entrance into the fairgrounds and then funneling them out to 17th Street and then heading them back out to Maple. So the pull for them worked out really well for them. I was glad to work with Ashley on that project. One of the other projects that we started today, or actually last week, was asphalt conversion. That was also a leftover project from last year, Downwind Drive, out by the MAPS, Marshfield Area Pet Shelter. That's all. We hammered that concrete out late last week, and tomorrow morning we're going in there to tear up the concrete and start shaping that road for a new top, and that should be completed by Thursday, that process, and that is scheduled for asphalt pavement completed on June 14th. 14th, between Vine and Peach, we held off on closing that street. That's in conjunction with the Peach closure between 17th and 14th. We're going to wait to close that street down on Wednesday after this testing goes through tomorrow night. Sanitary manhole replacements, all of them are completed except one, and that'll be in conjunction with the Adams, or no, what street is that, Tom? 13th Street Mill and Replace project, and that's to be scheduled yet. Miscellaneous work, we got a lot of that stuff done already, and some of the miscellaneous ditching that got held over from last year was the Armory back in the east 27th, 26th, or west 27th, 26th, 28th cul-de-sac areas. We got in there last week, and then we got to pull out because we got some rain, and there's some pumps that pump into that ditch, and we got the skid steer stuck a few times, so we just pulled out of there till that dries up a little bit more. So with that, that's all I have for you tonight. One other thing is our summer help is starting to trickle in. We should have all of our summer help coming in next week, which really helps out our process when we need guys to do some raking and stuff like that. So we should be almost full staff by next week, Monday.
Any questions for Chris?
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Next, we'll have Tom Turchi, city engineer. Tom.
All right, Contract 2020-01, Cleveland Street, Daggy Street to Central Avenue. We Energies is continuing to finish up with the gas relocation project out there. Earth Incorporated is continuing progress on Cleveland Street from Central to Chestnut, where they've installed the 16-inch water main and the PVC sanitary sewer main. They'll be installing storm sewer later this week, and then laterals on this section of the project between Central and Chestnut. I anticipate that they may also begin grading for a subgrade for this first block later on this week. They will continue working on the PVC sanitary up Cleveland Street between Blodgett and Cleveland. And sanitary sewer replacement on Oak Avenue is now complete. The base course concrete was been replaced, and asphalt paving is scheduled at this point to take place this week. And following that, we'd have Oak Avenue back open to traffic. Sanitary sewer lining is continuing. They have about 1,000 or more feet that they'll be lining this week. On Upham Street right now, adjacent to the cemetery, and then Walnut and on Becker Road. And I had installed some pictures to show kind of the equipment that are being used for these projects so that you can see the people or the, it's only about 4 to 6 hours for them to line a section of main. And then I'm going to hold off on the rest because I know we have a long evening, and the rest are just basically projects that we have designed moving to Chris's office to be built. Are there any questions?
Questions for Tom? Okay, thank you, Tom. Number 5, approval of right-of-way use application presented by Bryce Hembrook, city planner. Bryce.
Thank you, Mr. Bucky. This is the second year that Vicki Tracy of Uptown Coffee LLC has submitted an application for the PROW program. The Uptown Coffee was not considered to be a restaurant last year and only needed to be approved for an outdoor seating area, which did not require Board of Public Work approval. However, this year the business is considered to be a restaurant because they are now able to sell alcohol. So now this outdoor dining area request requires approval by the board. No issues were reported with the outdoor seating area last year. And so the PROW policy requires that the Main Street Marshfield and the city engineer and the Board of Public Works must review and approve the application. Both Main Street Marshfield and the city engineer have recommended approval of this application. So I'll just kind of quickly go over the highlights of the request. So they are planning on having 2 patio tables with 4 chairs each, 1 bench, 3 flower pots, and a sandwich board located in the outdoor dining area. The site plan was attached to the packet, and as you can see on the screen, that is the example of the outdoor dining area, and then that's what the outdoor seating area looked like last year as well. So some of the things that they mentioned in their application is that they plan on serving alcohol, leaving enhancements out during non-business hours, having an area designated as no smoking. There is no music that is being planned to be provided. The area must be closed by 10 p.m. and usually the coffee shop closes well before that. And then the area would be lit when it's used. So with that, we would recommend approving the PROW application request as presented for the property located at 121 South Central Avenue with the conditions that I included in the staff memo.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Fire, second. by Mr. Rosendich. Comments or questions? Roll call, please.
Fire,
Yes.
Bargander,
Yes.
Butke,
Yes.
Fisher,
Yes.
and Rosendick.
Yes.
All ayes, motion carries.
Okay. Number 6, award bid for the columbarium project at the cemetery, presented by Justin Casperson, Director of Parks and Recreation. Justin.
Good evening and thank you. The purpose of my memo is to seek approval of the second lowest bid from Cold Springs in the amount of $34,859 for a new columbarium at the city's Hillside Cemetery. This project was part of the 2020 CIP project and the budget process. The new columbarium will be rectangular in shape with 64 double niches, 128 full niches. The amount approved for the entire project is $45,000. It's coming out of the Perpetual Care Fund. The Common Council Board of Public Works authorized solicitation for bids in April. The city received 3 bids, which is included in your packet. You can see down below. The lowest bidder, which is Wilbert Vault, is unable to perform the request that we made. They are not able to satisfactorily produce the columbarium as we specified, and we got email confirmation that they are able to. So our recommendation is to go with the second bidder, which is still within our budget, Cold Spring, of $34,859, and retain the bid bond that will revolve.
Motion. Motion by Mr. Bargander, second. Mr. Fire, comments or questions? Mr. Fire.
Justin, can you tell us which part of the spec Wilbert didn't match?
There's an interior sealed lining made of, I'll call it plastic material. It's a fancier word than that, but plastic that they do not provide and cannot provide that. Both Tribute Company and Cold Spring were able to provide it where they were not, and they didn't feel it was necessary. So our staff and our recommendation was to use this as specified.
Anybody else? Roll call, please.
Fire,
Yes.
Bargander,
Yes.
Butke,
Yes.
Fisher,
Yes.
Rosendich.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Number 7, approval of planter pots placed in the medium on Veterans Parkway and Central Avenue, presented by Dan Connect, Director of Public Works. Dan.
Thank you. As you recall, Main Street received approval for placement of the planters in the median on South Central Avenue first back in 2018. We did discuss it again last spring and gave approval for 2019. And the street department usually assists in placing and removing those planters in the fall and the spring. This year, Main Street is asking that planters be allowed, in addition to Central Avenue, be allowed in the median on Veterans Parkway between Chestnut and Maple. And of course, they'd like to reaffirm approval of the planter placement in the medians on South Central Avenue. You recall, on Veterans, up until 2019, there were ground level planting beds in those medians between Chestnut and Maple. The beds required fairly extensive maintenance and watering, which was coordinated by Main Street and done primarily by volunteers. Over the years, it was more difficult to find enough volunteers and keep up with those plantings. So in 2019, the beds were removed, plants were relocated where that was appropriate, and then the area was reseeded with turf. Main Street would like to put some planters in these turf areas to bring back some color and aesthetics to those median areas. They would anticipate 3 or 4 planters on either side of Central Avenue in those medians. Just to note that they're not planning to buy any more planters this year. Maybe at some point they would, so they're just redistributing the planters they have, so there may end up being fewer on Central. This effort on Veterans Parkway. The medians on Veterans are wide enough for planters being placed and still meeting the lateral clearance standards from the edges of the driving lanes. While there's still a concern with volunteers working in the medians to maintain the planters, it's a better scenario than working at a ground level planting bed with your back traffic and so forth as you're hunched over the planting bed. As I mentioned, Main Street would also like to continue the practice of planters in the median on South Central. That's been done for the last 2 summers and with little or no issue. I haven't been made aware of any real problems with the planters there on Central. As I said, they don't have enough planters to fully cover both veterans and central, but we'll work with what they have for now and maybe look at buying some in 2021. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions. The recommended action is to approve the placement of those planters in both medians on Veterans Parkway and on Central Avenue. Continuation of that from previous year.
I would entertain a motion. Motion by Mr. Bargander, second by Mr. Fisher. Questions, comments? Boy, these guys are good tonight. Roll call, please.
One minute, how much are those planters, do you know?
Well, that I don't know. It's been
Okay.
a long time since they were purchased. I think they were back in the days when Sheila was still at Main Street.
Oh, we bought them with on that fundraiser, didn't we, when we put the benches in? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I would be interested in that. Or maybe we could talk the council members to join in and buy one. But if somebody could check a price for us. Okay, roll call.
Fire,
Yes.
Bargander,
Yes.
Butke,
Yes.
Fisher,
Yes.
and Rodriguez.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Number 8, approval of sanitary sewer extension agreement on Frey Court, presented by Tom Turchi, city engineer. Tom.
Okay, our office received a request by the owner of Boardwalk Manufactured Home Park at 3401 Frey Court for assistance with a sanitary sewer main extension to help with infrastructure problems they are experiencing at this park. Currently, the property owner is having the following problems with the internal sanitary sewer system, which are a result of a very shallow system that has been affected by frost over the past several decades, leading to back pitch and freezing during the coldest months. The park's owner has been working with a plumber to redesign and reconstruct the internal sanitary sewer drainage system within the park. His plumber developed a solution which requires the installation of a lift station on the northeast corner of pump effluent to the current shallow lateral that crosses private property to access the sanitary sewer main on Veterans Parkway, directly west of the park. Upon receiving this request, I did some research and laid out a design to see if we could supply a better system for gravity drainage to the park, thus eliminating the need for private lift station. From this design, I determined that a small extension of sanitary sewer main on Frey Court to the northwest corner of the park could be provided with enough depth which would provide the ability to reconstruct the internal system to the park with better pitch and greater depth to serve all homes within this park with a reliable gravity service. The drawing that you see on there, the red is the existing location where the lateral comes across, and that is approximately 5 feet deep at its deepest. The green line is the location we're proposing for the extension. I discussed the proposal with Sam Warp to determine if there may be the ability of the financial assistance from the city's wastewater treatment plant utility to lessen the burden on the property owner and ultimately supply better service to the residents within this park. Sam agreed that the wastewater treatment plant could participate in up to 50% of the construction cost, as this extension would benefit more than just one parcel. I've estimated the cost for sanitary sewer main extension of $50,000. The property owner feels this extension for sanitary sewer service on Frey Court is the best long-term option for the residents of his park. Please note the park owner will have to complete all internal sanitary sewer system improvements at his own cost. Therefore, I would recommend that the city of Marshfield enter into a development agreement, including the required $25,000 deposit for 50% of the design, inspection, and construction costs with Richard Dubois Jr. for the extension of approximately 230 linear feet of sanitary sewer main on Frey Court.
I would entertain a motion. Motion by Mr. Bargander, second
Okay.
by Mr. Butke. Roll call, please. Questions? Roll call, please. Yes.
I would just point out that in a normal scenario, if we would do a special assessment on this, properties that are already served with sanitary sewer don't get assessed. So as you see coming up off of the Veterans Parkway, the 2 properties where the sewer passes already are served by sanitary sewer, so they wouldn't pay any special assessments. In that case, the city absorbs that first 250 feet. So by getting some participation from an adjacent property owner, we're in a better position the next time a property comes in that wants sanitary sewer. And there are some undeveloped land further north on Frey Avenue that has been discussed over the years as possible development. So it just positions us better to have that sewer in place, and it helps out the mobile home parks, but it's a win-win for us. So,
Any questions? Roll call, please.
Fire,
Yes.
Bargender,
Yes.
Butke,
Yes.
Fisher,
Yes.
and Rosendich.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Number 9, approval of orders for installation of sanitary sewer and water laterals, presented by Tom Churchy, city engineer. Tom.
All right, as we get into mill and place programs and the work that we do there, we do special assessments, but we also take a look at current utilities to lots that may be vacant on these projects. On Locust Avenue between 13th Street and 14th Street, there are 2 lots that are currently undeveloped at this time, and neither of those have sewer or water laterals stubbed out to them. This segment of street was basically is planned, and one of the locations, they'll have to dig almost 15 feet deep to get a connection to sanitary. But I have talked to one of the 2 property owners. I had noted here that I talked to them both. I left messages for one, but the person hasn't called me back yet. So in order for us to install or make sure that we install these laterals prior to the asphalt paving on these streets, we go through a resolution and work with the property owners to try to get that resolved, but this is the first step in that. So therefore, I'd recommend approval of Resolution 2020-23 and refer to the Common Council for their consideration.
Motion. Mr. Rosendich, second by Mr. Fire. Questions? Roll call, please.
Butke,
Yes.
Bargender,
Yes.
Fire,
Yes.
Fisher,
Yes.
and Rosendich.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Number 10, approval of certified survey map for property at A Street and Holly Avenue, presented by Dan Connect, Director of Public Works. Dan.
Thank you. This was the subject of our closed session at the council meeting last week, in which the council approved the sale of land to the property owner at 711 Holly Avenue. I'm just calling up the certified survey map, essentially splitting a city-owned lot, giving part of it to, not giving, but selling part of it to the owner at 711 Holly Avenue, and attaching part of it to the A Street lift station site, and dedicating the rest of it to the public as road right-of-way. The council did approve that land sale last week, and so the next step is to have the certified survey map approved, so that creates the lots in question, and then from there, we will execute the closing. So in your packet was the resolution, certified survey map, and the memo describing our property split. The recommended action is to approve the certified survey map for city-owned property at the intersection of A Street and Holly Avenue, and refer resolution 2020-22 to the Common Council consideration.
Motion. Mr. Bargender, second. Mr. Rosendich, comments or questions? Roll call, please.
Fire,
Yes.
Bargender,
Yes.
Butke,
Yes.
Fisher,
Yes.
and Rosendich.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Number 11, recommended items for future agendas. Anybody have anything? Okay, number 12, I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion by Fisher. Second by Fire. Thank you, we are adjourned.